Hi, everyone, this is the Encyclopedia channel. Let me ask you a few questions first. Which country are the items you use produced? Which country developed the software you use on your mobile phone or computer? Our life and work have long been closely linked with the world. We talk about globalization in this episode, so what is globalization? How did globalization originate and develop? What impact does it have on the world? Now, what problems and challenges will the development of globalization encounter? How do we develop ourselves in the course of the trend of globalization? Globalization refers to the process of deepening the interconnection and communication of economy, culture, politics, and technology in the world. In the process of globalization, the accelerated development of international trade, capital flow, technology exchange, and cultural transmission on a global scale, the connection and dependence between countries in the world are getting higher and higher, the national borders are gradually blurred, and the gap between countries' exchanges and cooperation have also become more frequent and closer. The origins of globalization can be traced back to the 1950s and 1960s, when multinational corporations began to operate on a global scale and began to seek international cooperation and expand markets. Since then, international trade, foreign direct investment, and capital flows have continued to increase, promoting the integration of the global economy. In the 1980s and 1990s, the rapid development of information technology and communication technology made global communication more frequent and faster. At the same time, multinational companies have also begun to establish production bases and supply chain networks around the world, which further increases the interdependence of the global economy. In the early 21st century, with the rise of emerging market economies such as China and India, the process of globalization was further accelerated. The economic growth of these countries has driven the growth of the global economy and attracted more foreign direct investment. At the same time, globalization has also strengthened international trade and financial connections, deepened complementarity and cooperation among countries and regions, and promoted the in-depth development of globalization. Globalization has brought not only huge economic benefits, but also cultural and social problems, such as unemployment, poverty, and cultural conflicts. In the development of globalization, there have been some iconic events, such as: the first was the establishment of the World Trade Organization, WTO. Established in 1995, the WTO is the main organization of the global trading system. Its goal is to promote trade liberalization and openness, and promote trade cooperation among countries. The establishment of the WTO is conducive to the acceleration of the process of globalization. Especially after China's accession to the WTO, it has developed rapidly with the help of the wave of globalization and has become a global manufacturing power, providing a wealth of high-quality and cheap commodities for the people of the world. Globalization has provided a huge momentum for China's economic development. Second, the rise of the four Asian tigers. The four Asian tigers refer to Hong Kong, Singapore, Taiwan, and South Korea, which rapidly emerged as important centers of global manufacturing in the late 20th century. With the help of cheap labor and highly developed manufacturing industries, these countries have achieved huge economic growth and wealth accumulation. Finally, the rise of American tech giants. Silicon Valley in the United States has risen to become the center of global technology, and its representative companies include Google, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, etc. These companies have driven technological innovation and development on a global scale, while also having a profound impact on the global economy and culture. Globalization has deepened the connections and exchanges between different countries around the world, showing a trend of increasing mobility of various resources, products, capital, and personnel. Globalization has had a profound impact on the economy, politics, culture, and other aspects of all countries in the world. The impact of globalization on the economic front is very clear. With the continuous deepening of globalization, the trade between countries has become more and more frequent, and the competition in the international market has become more and more fierce. Globalization has formed a close economic network among countries, and the scope and depth of economic cooperation have continued to expand. As a result, the economic interdependence of countries has increased, and the scale of global trade and investment has continued to expand. For example, globalization has facilitated the growth of many multinational corporations. These companies can make full use of the advantages of globalization by establishing branches and production bases, and continuously improve product quality and market competitiveness. Multinational corporations have become one of the main drivers of globalization by expanding sales channels, increasing trading partners, and reducing production costs. For example, Apple, Google, Microsoft, etc. are all multinational companies that have emerged in the context of globalization. Globalization also has an impact on politics. In the context of globalization, countries have become more closely linked and the sphere of political influence has expanded. At the same time, because globalization has had a profound impact on the economic and social development of different countries, political differences and conflicts of interests among different countries are also increasing day by day. For example, the trade barriers and protectionist tendencies brought about by globalization have triggered trade disputes and political debates among many countries. For example, the trade friction between the United States and China and the impact of Brexit on the European Union are among the political challenges brought about by globalization. In addition, globalization has had a profound impact on cultural aspects. The accelerated development of globalization has led to the integration of various cultures and values, and traditional culture has received more attention and protection around the world, but it has also brought some cultural conflicts and challenges. For example, Western culture has more and more influence on cultures around the world, and the cultures of various countries have gradually become diversified. In this context, many countries began to pay attention to the protection of their own cultural traditions and values. For example, France has adopted a series of measures to protect its own culture and language, and China has also begun to vigorously promote its own traditional culture and values. Globalization has had a profound impact on every country and region. The impact on the economy is the most obvious. The economic ties and dependence between countries are deepening, and the scale of global trade and investment is constantly expanding. At the same time, globalization has also brought political and cultural influences, and the degree of connection and competition between countries is gradually deepening. Apart from this, globalization has had other effects as well. For example, globalization has made the dissemination and exchange of information more convenient and faster, and people's horizons have also been expanded. At the same time, globalization has also brought about some negative effects, such as environmental pollution and waste of resources. Therefore, globalization needs to maintain balance in all aspects and avoid excessive economic, political, or cultural hegemony. Therefore, globalization is an inevitable trend, which has a profound impact on all countries and regions in the world. In the process of globalization, countries need to maintain an open and inclusive attitude in order to promote economic, political, and cultural exchanges around the world and promote the sustainable development of the globalization process. Although the development of globalization has brought many benefits, it has also brought many problems and challenges. The problems and challenges faced by globalization will be elaborated below from economic, political, environmental, and social aspects. First of all, the economic problems brought about by globalization mainly include trade imbalance, widening gap between rich and poor, and financial crisis. Trade imbalance refers to the unbalanced trade relationship between developed countries and developing countries, resulting in long-term trade deficits in developing countries. The widening gap between the rich and the poor means that globalization has exacerbated the gap between the rich and the poor, causing some people's living difficulties and causing social instability. The financial crisis refers to the global financial risks and crises caused by the liberalization and globalization of the financial market. Second, the political problems brought about by globalization mainly include international security issues, lack of democracy, and political and cultural conflicts. International security issues mean that globalization has exacerbated the complexity and uncertainty of international relations and increased the risk of international security. Lack of democracy means that in the process of globalization, the political system and democratic system of some countries have been challenged, leading to political instability. Political and cultural conflicts refer to the fact that globalization has accelerated contact and exchanges between different cultures, resulting in conflicts and confrontations of cultural differences. In addition, globalization has brought about environmental problems, such as climate change, resource consumption, and environmental pollution. Globalization has accelerated the destruction of the natural environment by human activities, leading to environmental problems and ecological crises on a global scale. Finally, globalization also brings social problems, such as social imbalances, cultural conflicts, and identity. Globalization has exacerbated social inequality and social differentiation, leading to social instability and contradictions. Cultural conflict means that globalization has accelerated the contact and exchange between different cultures, leading to conflicts and confrontations between cultural differences. The problem of identity refers to the fact that globalization has exacerbated the diversity and complexity of individuals and societies, leading to confusion and challenges of identity. Many of the issues and challenges facing globalization are complex and multifaceted, affecting economics, culture, technology, education, and the environment around the world. Although it brings many opportunities and benefits, it also faces many challenges and problems. This requires countries, regions, and groups to actively seek solutions through exchanges and cooperation while promoting globalization, so as to achieve sustainable development and win-win results of globalization. Under the trend of globalization, how to use this trend to seek development opportunities for us is also a question that needs to be considered. We make the following recommendations. 1. Understand and adapt to globalization. Understand the trends of globalization, including the opportunities and challenges brought about by globalization. Adapt to the situation of globalization, including learning foreign languages and cultures, accepting international education, and cultivating an international perspective. Only by having an in-depth understanding of the trends and situations of globalization can we better grasp opportunities and avoid risks. 2. Actively participate in globalization. Actively participate in globalization, including participating in international exchanges, international cooperation, and international competition. For example, participate in international conferences, join international organizations, strengthen cooperation with overseas institutions, etc. In this way, international exchanges and cooperation can be enhanced to improve their own competitiveness. 3. Establish a global network. Establish a global network, including establishing contacts with overseas friends, seeking international partners, strengthening ties with international institutions, etc. In this way, people and resources can be expanded, and international competitiveness can be enhanced. 4. Develop the international market. Develop the international market, including exploring overseas markets, looking for overseas customers and partners, etc. In this way, the market and business can be expanded, and revenue and profit can be increased. In short, to use the trend of globalization to seek development opportunities for ourselves, we need to understand the trend and situation of globalization, actively participate in globalization, establish a global network, and develop international markets. Only through continuous efforts can we seize opportunities in the wave of globalization and seek our own development. After reading it, what do you think about globalization? Welcome to leave a message in the comment area to discuss with us.